WWE has made it abundantly clear that we are in a brand new era of professional wrestling. Whether you want to call it the Triple H era, the Paul Levesque era, the Renaissance era, it doesn't matter. What you need to understand is that this is not the same WWE that you used to know 2 years ago. And the WWE has made these changes quite obvious, whether it's through their production, who they're pushing in the WWE, the types of stories that they're telling, and even the changes to their titles. Because for those with keen eyes, you'll see that I've made this video about a year ago, where I ranked all of the WWE Championship belts that were active at the time. And if you can believe it, almost all of the belts have been completely rehauled and redesigned. So today we're gonna look at all of the active belts in the WWE, and for that AEW guy, I'll toss AEW in here for you as well, and we're gonna rank the belt designs from Hall of Fame all the way down to trash. I hope that AEW guy in the comments is still around. I haven't seen him in a while. Are you okay? I want you to keep going though, don't stop. And as always, don't forget to subscribe to the channel, ring the bell for notifications. If you're a wrestling fan, I know you're gonna fall in love with this YouTube channel because we always upload daily wrestling content. All right, let's get to it. All right, folks, here are the different tiers that we're gonna be using today. We have the Hall of Fame tier, and this is reserved for the best of the best, the most beautiful, the most prestigious looking championship belts out there in professional wrestling. And then we work our way down to great, good, meh, and trash. That's reserved for the metric butt ton of ass juice, those belts that are just disgusting to even look at. Now, I am gonna be ranking the NXT belts, main roster belts, and AEW belts, and I'm gonna keep you guessing, so I'm not gonna do this in any particular order. I'm gonna go all over the place. But let's start with one of the brand new belts that was recently announced, the WWE World Tag Team Titles, a set of titles that is an improvement from the previous Raw Tag Team Titles, which was just the Spartan belt that looked like an American quarter on a red strap. It was a really, really ugly title. So was the SmackDown set of titles as well. So I'm really happy that the SmackDown titles and the Raw titles both got redesigns. One is significantly better than the other, but when it comes to the World Tag Team Titles, which replaced the Raw Tag Team Titles, it's still an upgrade to what they had before, because at the very least, this has some life, at least a little bit of look of prestige. In my opinion, though, it does kind of look like a big pepperoni pizza, which once you see it, you can't really unsee it. But again, it is an upgrade to what we had, which was just the trash Raw Tag Team Titles, because they aren't as good as they could have been, because I still went, when I saw them the first time. I can't put them above the meh category. Let's jump over to AEW and do the AEW World Title. The AEW World Title is a thing of beauty. In my opinion, this is a perfect looking world title, a title that genuinely looks like a prize worth fighting for, a title that doesn't look like a toy, a title that if you told me this was a boxing title, I would believe you, because it doesn't scream, hey, this is professional wrestling. What it screams is, I am the best at something, and this thing personifies and is the physical embodiment of me being the best at that one thing. So the AEW title to me is absolutely beautiful. I love the gold and the diamond encrust that it has all over the belt. I think it's gorgeous. I like the fact that it does say AEW on it, but it's not overbearing. I feel like the WWE could take some notes as to how to do their world titles from AEW, because in my opinion, the AEW World Title is Hall of Fame worthy. Next up, let's look at the WWE Women's Tag Titles, and I think that these belts are pretty good. I don't think that they're fantastic. I don't think that they're anywhere near the trash category, and I do think that these are better than the titles that were given to The Miz and R-Truth that, again, look like a big pepperoni pizza. I think the only downside of this is just how awkward they are with like the corners that they have, but I don't know. I think that's just a style design. I don't think that it makes them any worse. It just makes them stand out, if anything. So I'll put the women's tag titles into the good category. Let's look at the AEW TNT Championship, which I think is like their Intercontinental Championship, which is weird because they have another set of mid-card titles. AEW has a tremendous amount of titles. It's kind of nutty. They have 3 separate mid-card titles for the men. But anyways, let's do the TNT title. I think that this is one of their worst designed titles, in my opinion. This one, to me, looks like a Chuck E. Cheese token. It looks like a novelty belt. It doesn't really scream prestige like the AEW World Title does. So the TNT title, because of just how tacky it is, in my opinion, with how much it looks like, I don't know, anyone could make this on Photoshop, I'm gonna put it into the trash bin. Let's go over to NXT and do the NXT North American Championship. Look, this is all about your taste. I like the maroon belt because it really it really speaks to the old school nature of the workhorse champion. The workhorse championship is exactly what the North American title is in NXT. It just gives vibes of like the 70s and 80s when we would have these types of colored belts. But the actual design of the belt, the fact that it's literally just a map of North America, I mean, it gets the point across, but I don't think it's particularly super well designed either. So I won't complicate things. I'm gonna put the North American title into the meh category. I just feel like they just Google image map of North America PNG and slapped it on there. I really felt like this could have been so much better with how much personality the maroon strap actually gives it. Sticking with AEW, let's do the AEW International Championship, not to be confused with the Continental Championship. It's kind of funny, you put the two together, you get Intercontinental Champion. I don't know why these two belts exist, but let's do the International Championship. Look, as much as I'm gonna clown on all these weird divisions that AEW has, I'm not here to rank the division, I'm here to rank the title design, and there is absolutely no doubt that the International Championship is an absolute thing of beauty. It goes into the Hall of Fame category as well. It has very much that same look and design and feel of the AEW World title, but it has the flags of the different, I guess, countries and nations that could be represented in this division. I think it's a title that looks prestigious like the AEW World title, but it has a very unique, identifiable look that tells us this is for the international, I guess, society. So I like this title. I'm going to put it into Hall of Fame. I really like these designs from AEW.
Look at that guy.
Oh, yeah. Because tonight will be the night. Oh my God.
Up here.
Oh, that is beautiful.
God.
Did you like that? Because that was a sneak preview on Patreon's new show, The Wrestling is Cool Match Club, which is available exclusively to patrons over on patreon.com/SantiZap. Over there, you're gonna get The Wrestling is Cool Match Club, where Sancho and I react to matches that the patrons suggest. This week, you're getting the WLC match, AJ Styles versus Kurt Angle back in the TNA days, and Eddie Guerrero versus Edge from 2002. On top of that, you get the Wrestling is Cool podcast 3 days earlier than everyone else, the Raw reviews, the SmackDown reviews, so we're adding more and more value to the Patreon basically every week. That's gonna be patreon.com/SantiZap. You'll find the link right at the top of the description or in the pinned comment. Hopefully you come check it out. There's almost 1,000 people over on the Patreon, and this community continues to grow. So hopefully you come check it out. Now back to the video. I mean, we kind of already talked about it, so we might as well push it out of the way. We have the AEW Continental Championship. I genuinely don't know why this title exists. What is the difference? Did it just get created so that we could give Okada a championship the second that he signed with AEW? I don't know. It just seems like a really redundant championship. But again, we're not here to judge the redundancy because it definitely sure as shit is very redundant. We're here to judge how pretty it is. And I do like the Continental Championship. It looks very much like one of the mid-card titles from back in the WCW days, where it's not too big, but the design is very, very beautiful and intricate. But it's very clear that this is not the championship because the gold that actually is on the belt is nowhere near as big as the AEW World title. That's a very old school thing to do from back in the territories, the NWA days, where those like mid-card United States championships or whatever were definitely on the smaller side, like the Continental Championship is. I think it's a really great design. I have to put it into the great category. Is it a title that the world of professional wrestling needs? No, probably not. But again, I'm not here to make those calls. I'm just telling you whether the title is pretty or not. Let's look at the WWE Intercontinental Championship. I have been so hot and cold with the design of this championship. I originally hated it, and then I eventually grew to like it, and then I went back to hating it, and I think I'm back in the liking category. I think I like it now more when I see the other belts that are available across the landscape of WWE. I like that it's not a belt that looks like a toy. I like that this isn't a belt that is designed to look pretty on the aisle of Walmart. This is a belt that is meant to appear on TV and look prestigious. I think part of the reason why so many people, including myself, if I'm being honest, knock this belt down a few notches is because we try to compare it to the older Intercontinental Championships that were so classic and beautiful. However, that's not what we're doing today. We're just talking at first glance, like, what do we think about this championship? And overall, I do think it's a really great design. Like, I can't tell you that the Continental Championship is great without putting the Intercontinental Championship right next to it, because really they give very similar vibes. I think Gunther really personified why this championship belt didn't have to be this over-the-top, crazy, shiny-looking belt, because he was the ring general. He was there to kick ass and take names, and I really felt like the look of the belt, the fact that it wasn't this over-extravagant-looking championship, really worked well with somebody like Gunther. Let's go back to the tag universe and look at the NXT Tag Team Championship belts, and I think these are meh as well. I feel like they couldn't think of anything aside from just NXT to put on the championship belt. It's very, very low, I don't know, effort in my opinion. They're not ugly by any regards, but I don't think that these scream anything beyond, hey, you are a champion in the developmental league of WWE, and we're gonna make sure that the world knows by plastering NXT right across the middle. And unlike the AEW World title, this is not a subtle NXT. Like, it's very much the focal point of the championship. When you look at the AEW World title, the AEW logo in the middle is very subtle, but this NXT Tag Championship is not. Like, it's what you're meant to see. It's what the first thing that your eyes are supposed to be drawn to, and I don't like it. Now let's do a 2-for-1. Let's just take care of the NXT Men's and the NXT Women's Championship, because they're the same belt, really. It's just one has a black strap and one has a white strap, and the men's is slightly bigger than the women's, but it's the literal exact same design. You know, it's funny because it's got this giant X in the middle, and I would likely have to put it into the meh category after what I just said, because the X really is the predominant thing. But the color of the X, with it being like diamond encrusted, I really think blends nicely into the background of the gold. So even though it has this giant big X in the middle, I don't think it's the first thing that I'm thinking about. Yes, the X is there and it's big and it's prominent, but it's not sticking out and being like the main thing that you're supposed to see. And the combination of like the gold and the diamond encrust with the letters of NXT, I think looks pretty nice. You might come at me in the comments, say you're a hypocrite, you put the NXT tag titles in meh for kind of the same reason you're putting these into good. But look, sometimes you just have to make decisions based on what you see, and you have to go with your gut. And just something when I look at it tells me that the NXT men's and women's title just looks nicer than the NXT tag titles. Let's go back over to AEW. Let's do the AEW Trios Championship. And I don't like these championships. I think that they just look like small coins on a belt. They look very, very basic. I think it's the same complaint that I had for the NXT North American title that I have for these trios title, where I feel like they did the minimal amount of effort for the actual main design in the middle. They just took a map of the world and said, World Trios, we're done, that's it, we're moving on. They just lack an identity. These look like it could be championships from any promotion, really, and to me don't really scream AEW, because when you look at, again, the AEW World title and the AEW International Championship, they have a very similar layout design that just isn't followed by the perfectly circular trios. I can't go higher than meh. Let's look at the WWE United States Championship, and this is a belt that's really grown on me over the years. When it was first redesigned, I didn't like it. I didn't feel like it was enough Americana than compared to the original US title that we've known in the WWE since the Ruthless Aggression era days. But as time has gone by, I like the fact that the American flag is a bit more subtle in the background. I like the forefront of the eagle as well on this belt. It's like super colorful without it being overbearing, without it looking like a toy is what I'm trying to get at. I like the United States Championship. I am going to put it into the great category. I think it's a slick looking belt with a very identifiable identity as well. Now let's look at the most recently announced set of titles in the WWE, the WWE Tag Titles, which recently replaced the SmackDown Tag Titles. And I'm going to be honest, I feel like my hopes for these being good were kind of in the gutter after the reveal of the pizza looking world titles from over on Monday Night Raw. But I have to say, these might be the prettiest titles in the WWE today. They are a beautiful callback to the world tag titles from back in the Ruthless Aggression era and in the late Attitude era as well. These look like prestigious championships that you want to win. They don't look like toys. They don't look like they're meant to be on the aisle of Walmart. These are meant to be won through blood, sweat, and tears. That's the first thing that I think of when I look at a very simple yet also intricate design. When you actually look at everything that's engraved in the title, that's what it screams to me. You know that it's a WWE Championship belt, but unlike previous WWE titles, the WWE logo isn't like super overbearing. So when I look at this, it reminds me a lot of the AEW World title, where again, you know it's a WWE title, title, but it's not overbearing in screaming, hey, this is from the WWE. I love these new titles. It goes into the Hall of Fame. It's funny because this video is kind of making me look like an AEW fanboy. Maybe I do need to do more AEW videos, but hey, look, I'm just saying they got good taste over there, and there's no difference here with the AEW Women's World Title. This also goes into the Hall of Fame category. It's right up there. Like, it's the exact same formula that works for the AEW World Title and for the International Championship. It just looks like a nice title. I think maybe what works for AEW is that, like, their middle plate is like taller than WWE Championships. They went for a more vertical look as opposed to a more wide or angular or circular look. And I think that, like, straight up and down look of the middle plate, I don't know, I think it adds an identity that isn't replicable across other wrestling promotions. So these AEW titles, you know they're AEW titles simply from their unique shape, but they don't have to plaster a giant AEW across the middle to tell you that it's an AEW title. Whoever's designing these titles for AEW, WWE should fucking steal them and hire them. I'll be much quicker with these other AEW ones. I think the AEW World Tag Titles are also pretty good. I don't think that they stand out too much. I don't think that I look at them and I say, oh my goodness, what a beautiful pair of tag titles. They're definitely nowhere near as nice as the new WWE Tag Titles from SmackDown, so I'll put them into the good category. The Women's TBS Championship, AEW, if you didn't know, has a mid-card title for the women's. I think it's a great idea, and I think that the WWE should steal that. However, they shouldn't steal the type of design that they did for this championship, because just like the TNT title, it looks like a novelty belt. I think putting the name of the network that the show is on, I don't know, like, I don't know why. It just feels tacky to me. Like, if I'm trying to buy like a nice looking belt for my background, something that looks nice and prestigious, I'm never gonna go to the TNT and the TBS Championship, because again, it looks like I went to some sort of TNT or TBS merchandise store or some sort of souvenir shop for them, and I bought that belt. It doesn't look like it's something from professional wrestling. And okay, we're gonna wrap up the video with the final two that I'm gonna do in tandem pairs, just like I did with the NXT men's and women's title, because the WWE Championship and the women's WWE Championship are basically the same design, and same with the World Heavyweight and the Women's World Championship. Same design, different belt, different size. That's really all it is. It's funny because these two designs are gonna land on complete opposite corners of this tier list, because the Big W, I have hated it ever since its onset. Everything that I said for TNT and the TBS Championship, you basically have to say for these big WWE Championship belts. Again, it looks like a souvenir. It looks like something that you're supposed to get at a WWE merchandise store or a souvenir shop, just like the TNT and the TBS Championship. To me, these are perfect titles to be toys, to be in the middle of Walmart aisles. I feel like they were designed with that being their first focus, not the focus of creating a beautifully designed, prestigious looking championship. This is meant to get kids at home to be like, I want the WWE Championship. And since kids are easier to please and easier to try to get the attention of, you put the Big W on there to get their attention. And in terms of like having these in your home, man, like, these aren't good conversation starters, because somebody's just gonna look at them and like, okay, yeah, that's like a WWE souvenir. Meanwhile, like, I want people to ask about it. Like, what is this? Oh, this is a world championship. It's a replica belt. Nah, you don't get that with these big W's. Like, the Big W kind of steals the story for you. I think these are from a bygone era of WWE where the WWE just really wanted to protect the intellectual property of everything that's involved in the WWE. They didn't want to intermingle with anything to do with professional wrestling. They just wanted WWE to be its own corner without it actually being attached to the sport of wrestling. And I do think that these belts are going to be done away with in this new era where they're actually calling wrestling professional wrestling and not sports entertainment, because these belts are the embodiment of sports entertainment. These are not belts that you're supposed to think are for professional wrestling. These are belts that you're supposed to think are WWE championships, and that to me kind of sucks. But now let's go over to the final set of belts, the WWE Women's World Championship and the WWE World Heavyweight Championship, which funnily enough are going to go in the complete opposite corner of this tier list, because I think that these are beautifully designed championship belts, even if they aren't as nice as the original big gold belt that was inherited by the WWE from WCW. These are really, really nice homages to that, at least. Yes, it's got the W in the middle, but that's not the main focus. The main focus is gold. This thing is gold from head to could tell that just happens to have a W in the middle. It's not quite as nice and subtle as the AEW logo in the AEW World Championship, but I think it's a huge step forward from the big W belts. And when I look at the big gold belts across the men's and the women's side of things, I think that they're beautiful and they look like prestigious championships worth winning. They don't look like something from a toy aisle. They don't look like souvenirs. They just look like championship belts in the world of professional wrestling. All right, folks, that's my tier list. It's your chance to let me know what you feel I got wrong. Also, AEW guy, are you still around? Are you still alive? But that's it. I'm done. Get out of here.